Hello GDQ submission staff, I'm Brian Otto and this is my submission for Titanfall 2 any percent and all helmets at SGDQ 2019. I'll be submitting two categories, but this run will be specifically any percent. Without further ado, we'll get right into it. So Titanfall 2 was last shown at GDQX 2018. One of the most viewed runs from that marathon on YouTube and one of the most viewed GDQ runs on YouTube in general. Titanfall 2 is a futuristic military FPS shooter developed by Respawn Entertainment. They're the guys that actually recently put out Apex Legends. 3, 2, 1, go. It runs on a modified version of the Source engine and features a lot of really sick movement. The movement is what makes this speedrun what it is. Titanfall 2 is through and through a movement-based FPS game. So this is the first mission in the game. This is your typical military FPS tutorial mission. It's going to introduce us to a lot of the different mechanics that we're going to have in the game here.
Does that feel right to you, Cooper?
It does feel right to me,
Right.
Lastimosa, thank you. So the first one we're going to see is going to be one of the most important pieces of movement tech in the entire game. This is going to be slide hopping. So slide hopping is mechanically really similar to bunny hopping, which is just jumping as soon as you touch the ground. But we're going to be doing it from a crouching position. And so when we have any amount of speed, or a certain amount of speed I should say, and we hold crouch in this game, we'll initiate a slide. And from a slide we can jump indefinitely. And if we're air strafing, which is holding left and right in the air rather than forward and moving in an arc, we'll actually be building speed the entire time. We have to wait for a certain dialogue line before we can touch that wall. Now we get our double jump here. So we can bunny hop, we have a double jump, and as well as we'll see right here, we can run on walls and jump off walls, like so. And with all these together, it ends up forming a really sick movement system. I'm going to skip a reload animation here by holding R as this comes down and grabbing the rifle. And now we have the EPG. This is just a rocket launcher. We're going to use it to boost ourselves, like so. And then this piece of movement tech is only available in this part of the game. Because we're technically in a simulation, we can't die. So we can allow these grenades to just explode in our hand, and they'll give us a pretty nice speed boost. You'll notice, this is a pretty bad gauntlet. You'll notice I'm jumping off the wall as soon as I touch it. This is what we refer to as a wall kick. And a wall kick is initiated by jumping off the wall within 5 frames of touching it. By exiting the gauntlet and entering it, we skip a bunch of Lastimosa's dialogue here. And so a wall kick is, you jump off the wall within 5 frames of touching it. If you jump off it even faster, you'll get a faster speed boost increment, or based on how fast you jump off the wall. So we have 3 different windows: 5 frames, 3 frames, and 1 frame.
That's the spirit. But first, we're gonna need a little more space.
So now we're going to get introduced to a bit more of the mechanics in the game. We're going to call down a Titan. Titans will cover a bit in the next level, but for now we're just going to basically play through the rest of this first part.
First Titan chassis we designed ourselves. One we didn't have to steal from the IMC.
My splits that I'm comparing against are my average splits. They're not my world record splits.
Look up, sky.
There's a fun glitch you can do here. I kind of called BT down too far to do it. Plot-wise here, you're playing as Rifleman Jack Cooper. He's a rifleman in the militia, which is a rebellious military force fighting back against the IMC, or the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation. The IMC are a big corporate conglomerate that goes from planet to planet and reaps all these planets of the resources, and the militia are a group of people that just kind of had enough of it and are fighting back against him. And so at this point in the game, this guy right here is training you. We don't really know why. It's never explained why, because he's about to die in the next level.
Lastimosa. Anderson. You son of a bitch. See you down there.
We're going to see a new planet today. Maybe even die on it.
Maybe even die on it. Lots of foreshadowing in this beginning segment as well.
See you down there, Rifleman. Good luck.
We're going to select easy difficulty here, given that the category is any percent. The goal of any percent is to complete the game as fast as possible, and in this game is fastest played on easy. There actually isn't a lot of differences between the master and any percent categories, aside from the last 3 levels in the game. Otherwise, through and through, they're pretty similar. So aside from all of Titanfall 2's pros as an amazing speed game when it comes to just freedom of movement and movement tech, its biggest con is unskippable cutscenes, and so unfortunately we have two pretty lengthy unskippable cutscenes to sit through at the beginning of this level. Um, this is just kind of telling us what's going on. So the militia went to visit the planet of the IMC-controlled planet of Typhon because they had some sort of research facility there. They wanted to see what was going on, and so they find out that they bit off more than they can chew, and we're currently crash landing behind enemy lines. You can even see the final location of the game here. It'll look like a big circular structure in the background, the bottom left. BT-7274 is a pretty difficult level. One of the hardest in the game actually, and it comes right at the beginning as well. While we don't actually really get to play it for another couple minutes here, you'll get to see some examples of what makes it so difficult. So collision in this game is very specific, and all of the geometry in this game pretty much all has collision. So if you just kind of take a look around once we step out of the drop pod after we get pumped up with drugs, you'll see there's just tons of rocks and different structures and everything here, and so we have to maneuver around all of those. And going fast in this game is all based around fast and fluid movement. We're actually going to skip having to wait for a crash landing drop pod here if we go fast enough. So this trick is a little bit risky, but most runners can do this first try every time, like so. So you see all these rocks and everything. We have to really carefully avoid all of these. So we're just going to pick up the R3, or sorry, the R201. I've been playing a little bit too much Apex Legends, so the R201 to me is now the R301. So this is the infamous 18-hour cutscene, named after some of the dialogue that comes in this cutscene. This is Lastimosa. This is the guy that was training us in the drop pod. He just came and saved our butts, and he's about to get wrecked. My voice is gonna crack, by the way. That's a pretty that's a pretty consistent thing with all of my marathon runs.
Stay down, Cooper. BT, let's go.
I can assure you I'm drinking lots of water right now. Oh, there we go. There's another one. So we're being introduced to the Apex Predators. Again, you're going to see more and more similarities to Apex Legends here. And reminder, this game came out before Apex Legends. A lot of people forget that. So these are the Apex Predators. They're an elite group of mercenaries that have been hired by the IMC to help them do whatever they're doing here on the planet. We don't know quite yet. So we're kind of getting a look at all of the people that we're going to fight throughout the game. And but one of them are going to die. And it's not the one that's supposed to die, or the one that's supposed to live.
We have 18 hours. 18 hours until the Ark is sealed and ready for delivery.
And there's the 18-hour cutscene dialogue.
Oi, Richter! Leave the corpses alone, you sick bastard. We've got a job to do, eh? We make corpses, we don't clean them up. Let's go.
When you play at higher FOVs here, you can see some weird stuff happen in the cutscenes. If you watch on the right side, this monster is going to kind of like slide into the screen, like that. I love it. One of the things that makes this level so difficult is we only have a single jump for the beginning of it. Normally in this game you have a double jump, but once we get Lastimosa's pilot gear after he dies, we're only going to have a single jump for part of it, and that makes these opening sections really punishing and really difficult, especially for new runners. So this is BT, Lastimosa's Titan. He's going to kind of puke him out here, and the Lastimosa's going to have some final words for us. We're going to try and shoot him, not because he's going to make him die faster, but because we all hate Lastimosa.
BT, transfer authorization to new.
So in the Titanfall universe, what's happening here is actually really huge. Pilots are the elite of the elite. They're the best of the best. They go through a rigorous training program that has a really low success rate. And so for a pilot like Lastimosa to transfer control of a Titan to just a run-of-the-mill grunt like Cooper is completely unheard of. It's implied that Lastimosa sees something in Cooper, but we'll never find out what it is. So now we're going to put on the helmet, and this is when the run really takes off. It's kind of slow and it meanders, and then as soon as you put on the helmet, the run gets fast. So you can already see all these rocks and everything and geometry in my way. This is what's going to be really hard. Aside from the level being really hard, it actually is a really fun level to run, and it feels great once you can do it fluidly. We're going to skip having to wait to get our sprint and just kind of jump backwards into a wall, which allows us to wall jump and then initiate a slide hop. Grab the Eva shotgun here. This shotgun is really important to the run due to the fact that it does a ton of damage. Its range is ridiculous for a shotgun, and it has a really nice fire rate. And so considering the fact that we're going fast, we're going to be in people's faces a lot. And this weapon deals a lot of DPS very quickly. There's a million like small optimizations that are happening that I can't get to all of them. This one coming up here is one of the newer ones. You can't normally run on the same wall twice, but if the wall is kind of curved, it'll allow you to kind of reset your wall run immediately. That's obviously a mechanic that's put in place so you can't like infinitely climb up walls, but we abuse that there to get around that room really quickly and skip a lot of gameplay. This section here is called Death River. It's infamous amongst new runners due to its sheer difficulty. It doesn't look like much, I kind of flubbed right there, but that is a really difficult section for new runners. We're going to abuse the wall regrab right there again. Now, Titanfall 2 isn't a game that has a lot of RNG, but there are small segments that have little bit of randomness. Like right here, the way these prowlers can move can be a little bit random. But otherwise, this run is like pretty RNG free. There's only like 3 or 4 segments in this game that are really truly random that have like a huge impact on the run. We're gonna come around here. That barrel can be annoying if you don't hit it at the right angle. I missed the slide here too. Not the best start so far, but it could be worse. So coming up here, we have our double jump now. We're going to be using a piece of movement tech called a slant boost, where it's where you initiate a slide boost on a really heavily sloped surface, like right here. I actually missed the slant, that's fine. We don't lose a ton of time by missing the slant boost. We have to kill all the enemies in this next segment up here, so I'm going to cook a grenade, throw it to the right spot, kill all 3 of them, and then install the first battery in BT. So BT runs on these huge batteries, and we have to get 3 of them for him to be at full power. This is River Jump. This skips a pretty big section of gameplay, just by jumping across the river and climbing an invisible staircase here. Coming up now we have Josh Frag, one of the few frag boosts in the game. Frag boosts are fast, but they're also super risky because they have such a high chance of death. This section is called Ravine. It's a series of wall kicks, one of the toughest in the game. And the level. I missed the wall kick, I can still bring this back. I just have to get a wall kick right here. Clear this big gap, nice. Now we have encampment, another difficult section. Got to be really careful of the geometry here and get a nice bunny hop off this. There is actually bunny hopping in this game. There's both bunny hopping and slide hopping. The jump timing window for bunny hopping is much more strict than it is for slide hopping. Slide hopping in general is a lot more lenient in its timing, and it's a bit more versatile due to how you can slide for a brief moment before jumping again and not lose really any speed. This section here is just best to mash jump through it. All right, now we're getting to the 3rd battery. So I'm going to be doing another slant boost right here. We got a decent slant boost. It's not the best I've seen. We're going to take a wall kick on the right here, and it's going to be a similar situation to last time, where you have to throw a grenade here, throw a grenade here. Got him. Got him. Nice. That was perfect. That was a really good second battery clear. So those grenade placements are very specific, and doing it like that is really fast. So now we're being introduced to BT. He's going to clear the area for us real quick, and then we're going to get inside him for the first time. So Titans in this game, throughout the game we'll be picking up different Titan loadouts. And so different Titan loadouts are going to be different weapons or abilities or anything. So think of Titan loadouts as characters in a MOBA or in a hero shooter or in Apex Legends, where they have a different set of abilities and strengths and weaknesses. So the first one we're going to get is going to be called Expedition. Expedition has a multi-target missile system. It has a vortex shield, which catches bullets and shoots them back at enemies, and then also has electric smoke, which is a smoke field that also does electricity damage over time. The vortex shield, which we're going to see pretty soon here, was like directly inspired by a similar thing you might have seen in a sci-fi movie from 2009 called District 9. There's actually a lot of District 9 inspiration in this game, which is pretty cool, including the game's main antagonist, Blisk. given that was one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite sci-fi movies, it's really nice to see in a game like this. And so, an interesting thing with the Vortex Shield, when it catches hit scan bullets and it sends them back at enemies, it actually does splash damage. And so when we're catching hit scan bullets here and we shoot them back, it actually wipes out this whole segment. Having that guy live is actually pretty beneficial. This is actually one of the only truly random sections of the game here. If that drone will fly back up. So we got a little bit, to get great RNG there. Unfortunately, if that drone lives, it loses time. So the only randomness really here is just how the enemies fly and how much damage you do with the Vortex Shield. And the difference between a good Titan tutorial and a bad Titan tutorial is probably about 7 or 8 seconds, so it can be kind of bad news.
Pilot, enemy Titanfall detected. We will have to fight our way to safety. Get ready.
Alright, so we're only going to be talking to BT in these dialogue options when it's faster to talk to him. This is the first kind of quote-unquote boss fight of the game. So we're going to fight another Titan for the first time, but this one's going to be pretty easy. So we're going to drop our electric smoke here to do damage over time. We're going to shoot him till he pops his Vortex Shield. Charge our missile system while the shield's out. Launch the missile system. And then shoot him in the middle in that red part. When you shoot Titans in the cockpit, that's like the crit spot. You'll notice by the fact that the hit markers will kind of flash red. Deals with them really fast. So BT's going to put a waypoint down there, but we have to wait for him to say a certain dialogue option. There we go, just had to wait for him, and now we're on, or we're off, I should say. So a 15, 55, 56 PT, as long as we're under 16 minutes, that's usually pretty okay with me. I'm not going to be too worried about my splits. This is the first no reset run I've done today, and it is what it is. Alright, onward. So now we're moving into Blood and Rust. Blood and Rust is another extremely difficult level. Both BT and Blood and Rust are just like really, really brutal in terms of their difficulty. While BT was brutal because of the geometry and just how tough the terrain can be to navigate, this one just has a lot of really tight corridors and difficult technical segments that are hard in their own way. This first segment's going to be a lot of Titan movement. If we dash over this tone and then crouch at the right time, we'll slide over him. Nice. Optimal Titan movement is best defined as always having a boost charging, boosting when you go off ledges, and then boosting when you go around corners, like this. You'll see that there's a little meter charging in the bottom there. Titans can't jump, but they can dash. BT has 2 dashes that are always going to be charging here. So now coming up here, we have a trick called Disembark Jump. If I press jump at the right time during the disembark animation, I'll jump straight up. I missed the timing window, that's fine. The disembark jump timing is pretty tough. Missing it isn't critical though, it only saves about 1 or 2 seconds. So now this is when the level gets really, really hard. It's going to be kind of tough to describe everything that's going on here just due to the sheer technicality of it, but I will do my best. Just lots of really tight corridors and tight movement. After I get down this kind of slide segment here, we actually have a brand new route. This one's really new. It incorporates another frag boost. I probably shouldn't be doing it in marathon runs, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's really tough. Okay, I already messed it up, so I'm just going to throw the frag away. Yeah, this is fine. That could have been a lot worse. I'm glad I messed it. I'm glad I noticed that I messed it up when I did. That route can be really punishing if you pull the frag at the wrong time and end up dying to it. Not the best sniper canal or Blood and Rust start ever, but I have had worse. Navigating through these hallways can be really difficult. Alright. We're gonna cloak here so these stalkers don't shoot at us. Getting shot by enemies doesn't normally slow you down unless they have projectile weapons. If they have projectile weapons, they will slow you down. This segment here can be a little bit random just due to enemy movements. Nice. Oh, okay. So that melee boost there is like actually the optimal strat there, but I wasn't able to shoot the guy in the face fast enough there. It could be pretty difficult. So now coming up here, we're setting up for a big skip called Sludge Skip. This is one of the first huge time-saving skips in the game that skips a huge wave fight. There's actually a lot happening in this segment here, on a mechanical or from a mechanical standpoint, but We're already going to be manipulating BT's dialogue. You see he's standing right behind the fence there. We want to keep him standing there. So we want to be choosing the right dialogue options so he doesn't move away from that fence, but also so that he reaches a certain dialogue line at a certain time. So we have to press that button, and then we need BT to say marking your HUD as soon as we get across here. This isn't intentional, but you can actually jump across this gap and then get in BT through the fence. This skips a huge wave fight. It saves like 5 or 6 minutes. It is a massive skip, and I think it was found pretty early into this game's life cycle. I started running this game about 2 months after it came out, and we already had sludge skip, so really, really big skip. It's pretty easy for experienced runners. For new runners, that can be pretty one of the harder like learning curves in the game. That's one of the first segments where you're kind of like on the clock, so to speak, because if you wait too long, BT will run away from the fence, and it loses a lot of time. So this is the first Apex Predator we're fighting. This is Kane. Kane fight is pretty simple. We just picked up Tone, which is another Titan loadout. Tone is going to get partial missile locks whenever he shoots somebody. You can actually build multiple missile locks, but use one missile barrage on one Titan, which is what we're going to do here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do that to kill that guy. And so Kane's going to put up that flame shield, which negates all damage. I'm going to try and play around that by dealing the right DPS at the right time. That should be it. Almost. I almost got that right. Okay, cool. So a pretty good Kane fight. I lost a couple seconds by not getting around the last flame shield. That's okay. Titans at this game also have core abilities, or ultimates. The one I used there with Tone basically shot a huge missile barrage at Kane. Did a lot of damage in a short amount of time. And so that's Blood and Rust. We have about a minute of dialogue to sit through here.
Slime, this is Bliss. The IMC have almost sealed the Ark. It's time to prepare the Draconis.
Copy. Got myself 3 captured militia. What should I do with them?
Just kill him.
I'm on my way. Slow now.
The ability to decrypt enemy communications has a strong history in warfare. This will work to our advantage. In order to survive, we must keep moving.
And out of Blood and Rust. So 2125 out of Blood and Rust is, I mean, really not terrible. 11 seconds behind average is great. And now we're moving on to Into the Abyss. Into the Abyss is a pretty is the first multi-chapter mission in the game,
Major Anderson went this way.
and a pretty difficult one at that. So this first level is basically all Titan movement. This is one of the only, I would say, Titan-based levels in the game, even though there is a small pilot section. So again, we're just going to be boosting off ledges and around corners, as always. We just picked up Scorch, which is one of the most important Titan loadouts to the game,
Kane is not responding.
and we'll be using him for the first time at the end of this segment.
Your way. Kill him.
And so coming up at the end of this, or sorry, midway through the level here, we have a difficult trick called wall boost. So you'll notice that we're kind of in the middle of an assembly line, and that's going to be a running theme through this entire level, kind of running through an assembly line. It's not quite clear what the IMC is building here, but we're moving through it. And so we're actually going to be able to kind of get in front of one of these walls as they're moving. And we're not supposed to be able to, but because they're trigger based, we can get ahead of them by using a certain boost at this section here. So if we boost here and then boost at 2 specific points here, I can get a really nice time save. Nice. Okay, that was the perfect one too. That doesn't look like much, but that is very, very difficult to get it like that. That's about a 9-second time save. And if you mess that up, it loses like 30 seconds. Okay, and so this is why Scorch is important, because he does a ton of AoE DPS very, very quickly. So Scorch's ultimate is called Flame Core, where you just like drop a huge wall of thermite and it completely obliterates enemies. And that's going to be a running theme that you see anytime Scorch is out, basically. It's just really, really high DPS at close ranges. And so now we're going to become separated from BT here. And fun fact, when you press that button, or press the button on the elevator there, the kill floor down here actually disappears, and it's faster to drop down here, where you would normally be killed after you press the button. And so now we're on to Into the Abyss Chapter 2. And Into the Abyss Chapter 2 is kind of it's a beautiful tragedy. I don't know how else to describe it. This level is an amazing movement playground, but it is a big, fat, ugly auto-scroller. And we haven't been able to find any way to make it not an auto-scroller. So as you can see, we're being like flung by the platforms here and chaining wall kicks, and everything's really fast and cool, but it doesn't matter because this level is tied to a global cycle. And even if you do beat out the global cycle and get to like the end trigger, or like the end part of the level, it'll like crash to the menu because the triggers overlap. So this level's a big auto-scroller. We're tied to the speed of the assembly line here, unfortunately. We're gonna grab the Spitfire, which is just important to this run as it is a good weapon in Apex Legends. I'm gonna go for like a swag strat here, just for the people watching live on Twitch right now, called Swaganos. I didn't get it. Okay, it's fine. And so Spitfire is pretty important to this run. It's just due to its magazine size and DPS output. This strat over here, this is called Told Spice route, named after the guy that found it. And so all it is this is not an intended route, but you can just jump over here and run along this cliff face and skip basically the entire most of the level here that you're supposed to be navigating through. You'll hear BT talking about how you need to navigate through the assembly line, be careful, it's dangerous, and you just do this and it's totally fine. It can be a little bit hard to see out here, but we're gonna get around it. Normally in this segment, okay, actually, you know, we're gonna do it anyway. So I'm gonna do a fun little thing over here called Red versus Blue. And so while we're waiting for the level to catch up to us here, we're gonna kill all the enemies in this segment except for 2 robots. One of them, and then we're gonna hack one of the robots and not hack the other one. One of the robots is gonna be red and the other one's gonna be blue. And we're gonna make them fight to the death. This is just, this doesn't lose any time at all because, you know, we're stuck in an auto-scroller. This is just kind of a fun little thing to do while we wait for the level to catch up to us. So we're gonna eliminate all the enemies here except for 2 robots. That guy, that guy. So I believe at SGDQ red won, or sorry, GDQX, I think red was the winner. We'll see if that changes this time. I'm gonna try and get this guy to move forward. We'll see if he moves forward. I don't think he's going to. Okay. So, this one's gonna be red, the other one will be blue. It's gonna be a fight to the death. Red already throws a grenade, blue just like stands in it, and then, okay, you know what? I think that's exactly the same thing that happened at GDQX, actually. I think that's actually the same thing. So, normally I do like some commentary there and it's fun and exciting, but that just was kind of over before it started. Alright. Anyway, we're still waiting for the level to catch up to us. That platform right there is the one that we need. Technically on this level, the end level trigger for the level is always present, but it's in like a box that's out of bounds and then out of bounds again. And so technically if you were able to make it to that section somehow, you can just end the level immediately. Like, you can no-clip to it if you're using a mod, but we haven't found a way to get there. And so once we ride this assembly line through, we have an awesome trick coming up called Dome Launch. It's really, really, really neat.
Pilot, are you all right?
So in this game, when you get launched off a platform, whether it be forward, backwards, up, down, you retain your momentum for both the first jump and the second jump. And that includes vertical jumps too. So this crane arm right here is going to rotate up. And we're going to jump off it at a very specific point. And so we're going to get a huge boost for our... We're going to get a huge boost from our first jump. And then when we double jump, we're going to get that same boost again. So we're going to come to like almost a complete stop. Or almost the apex of our jump. Then we're going to jump again. And it's going to launch us like straight up to the top here. It's a huge time save. Really, really cool trick. One of the many tricks in this game found by Taskanos. You'll hear Ash talking in the background here. She's another Apex Predator. We're going to forget about her though because we don't even fight her.
I see you, pilot. I admire your perseverance. If only the IMC infantry were as dedicated. There is only one way out, pilot.
There it is. So that is Dome Launch. And that was perfectly executed too. That's a really, really good Dome Launch. That trick is really spooky. It's always worth going for because of the time it saves, but every time you mess it up, it loses like 15 seconds. So it can be a pretty spooky launch. but one of the few tricks in this game that really abuses momentum. I guess we have another one coming up too in the next level. That's a new strat. So coming up here, we have the second huge skip in this game. This is going to be dome skip. And so this was actually, a Respawn dev actually hinted us on this after he saw our submission back for SGDQ 2017. So we used to do the skip a completely different way, but a Respawn dev saw our submission for SGDQ 2017 a couple years ago and was like, hey, just so you know, you can do that faster. I won't tell you how, but here's a hint. And we actually found out that you can just walk through this wall right here. That's it. You just walk through it. There's just no collision there. And you can just walk outside of the map. And what's going to happen here is the screen is going to fade to black, and when it fades to black, you're actually going to get teleported to an alternate geo. And if you stand in this specific location, you actually get teleported right to the end level trigger. So why this functions this way, Taskinos could probably tell you. I'm not entirely sure. Taskinos is in my Twitch chat right now, probably like, Brian, it's because of this and this and this. But yeah, this is dome skip. It saves another like 5 or 6 minutes.
Now, we shall see how impressive you
And a really, that's just an excellent Into the Abyss Chapter 2. So Into the Abyss Chapter 3 is kind of like a hidden boss of the speedrun. This level's really difficult, but it's kind of forgettable at the same time.
Tell me you killed that pilot.
So we have some really tricky movement through these caverns here. If I can sometimes get a wall run right there and kind of fling across here, but I didn't quite get it. This skip right here is called Cylinder Skip. Oh shoot. Okay. Let's see. Let me see if I can get this still. This is gonna be close. Yes, I still got it. Okay. Very spooky. Very spooky. I have to press that button and then use enough speed to get across the gap there. So this is a brand new strat coming up here. I'm gonna cloak here to kind of make enemy movements predictable. Clock this guy in the face. Clock that guy in the face. Clock this guy. Now I need to navigate through here without bonking the top of the geometry. And I'm going to use this momentum boost to fling me across this gap. Wall kick here. I missed the wall kick, that's fine. Worst things have happened. So that's a brand new strat. It saved about a little over a second over the old one if BT would stay next to me. Cool. There we go. Alright. And now we're back in BT. We have the Brute loadout now, which allows us to fly. And due to the fact that we can fly now, we can do some unintended stuff. And so we're going to use that to do the next skip in the game here. So you've been hearing Ash talking this entire time. We're actually going to completely skip her fight. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fly up to an unattended location. And then once we're going to disembark from BT. And we're not supposed to be able to be in this location. And both BT and Cooper can't occupy the same space. So what the game's going to do here, it's just going to put us in the next closest area where both BT and Cooper can stand, which just happens to be out of bounds, as you see right here. And so now we're going to carefully navigate around the activation trigger for Ash's fight. So we can't just go in a straight line across here, we have to walk around the outside basically. And now once we get here, we're home free. So we've walked around the trigger for Ash fight, and now we're going to carefully boost from this rock to here, and then from this rock to here. Then we're going to clip out of bounds again, so through another invisible wall.
Controls transferred to pilot.
And this is basically the end of Into the Abyss Chapter 3. So we go past the entire arena for Ash fight. And the level's over, just like that. And so at this point, I would say it's a real run, boys. Anytime we get past Into the Abyss 3, we've made it into a real run. That level can kill a lot of really, really good runs. You can be like 30 seconds ahead coming out of Blood and Rust, and then you go into the Abyss and you mess up Dome Launch maybe, and then all of a sudden your run sucks. So, Effect and Cause is going to be, if anybody played this game casually, this is going to be the point of the run where you're like, oh man, this level. This level is iconic to this game in the campaign, in terms of its design and how crazy it is, and this is just a really, really good level. One of the best FPS missions I've ever played. So you'll notice BT's been talking about rendezvousing with Major Anderson and meeting at a rendezvous point, Major Anderson, and yada yada yada. Well, this is the rendezvous point where we're supposed to meet Major Anderson, and you can already tell that something isn't quite right. There's time fluctuations, we don't know why. We're gonna find out though. And so this is a pretty difficult segment coming up here. You have to chain a couple wall kicks together, and it's very important that we hit these wall kicks. Nice. Okay, cool. So time is just swapping back and forth. We don't have the ability to control it. That's all trigger based. Slide up the stairs here. So we found Anderson. He is somehow inexplicably and paradoxically in the floor. So like in the past the floor would have been there, but in the present the floor is also there. So how would... Anyway. So now we have Anderson's helmet, and inside pilot helmets they contain a lot of data that Titans can scan and gather intel from. So we're going to give Anderson's helmet to BT, and he's going to scan his helmet for plot. And in the plot we're going to find out that Anderson came here to figure out what the IMC was working on at this facility, and then things went wrong and he died.
The following is Anderson's mission briefing from Commander Sarah Briggs of the Militia SRS.
So now we have a bunch of dialogue to wait through. And so coming up after all this dialogue, we're going to be getting to a really, really cool trick called FTL, or faster than light, because you use lasers, which are light, to go faster than the time swaps. Anyway, so what we're going to be doing is this sky bridge right here has a lot of time swaps that are triggered to happen as you run through it. But if you go through it too fast, the game will spit you out in the wrong timeline. You have to go all the way back through. But if you go through it fast enough, you can actually kind of like skip the time swaps and get through it really quickly. It's a very difficult trick. One of my favorite finds I've ever made for this game. It'll be after this short segment here.
What are we supposed to do?
Our mission has been
We're going to do another small trick here. This is just an early zipline grab. BT's going to rip that pole out and throw it up there, and we're going to grab onto the zipline. At the top of the zipline rather than at the bottom. Saves about 2 seconds. I'm going to wait for BT to show him his palm, his palm for a visual cue. There it is. We come here, grab the zipline. Boop, there it is.
I will work on it.
I'm going to grab satchels here because we're going to need them later on in the game. Can sometimes abuse the time swaps here in a funny way there. Alright, FTL coming up right after this.
Copy that. Laser meshes are online. Sending a team to investigate.
Oh, this is going to be close. Got it! Woo! First try FTL. Oh man, okay, if you remember, I butchered that trick at GDQX, so hitting that first try in my submission feels good. Feels very good, dude. Yeah, I was definitely worried about that, so very nice. So basically what happens is we stand, so in the opposite timeline, we stand where a laser grid is, but when the time swaps to the other timeline, we're standing where the laser grid is, so the game... We're obviously not supposed to be inside the laser grid, so the game shoots us out with the laser grid damage really fast and propels us down that hallway. So now we found the other half of Anderson and found the wrist-mounted device he was using to navigate through here, which gives us the best tooltip of all time, press button to time travel. So now we can time travel at will, and this level is just beautiful to watch. It's really technical and difficult, and you have to swap through time, and there's different routes for different timelines, and it's just cool. It's just a really, really fun level to run. It's unfortunately broken up by a couple of dialogue segments, but when it goes, it goes. Tough little elevator climb here. Good, I got the fast start. Good elevator. So if I'm correct, I should be getting to the button around like 53 or 54 seconds. 55 second button. So far so good. Gonna fill up on satchels here again because we need them later. So now we're going to listen to some of Anderson's dialogue. He's talking about what he's discovering about a weapon that can fold space and time, but they didn't build the power source for it. Anyway, long story short, the plot for this game is like Star Wars meets Halo. On to the next segment here. T-pose. And this is the second dialogue segment. Later on, I'm going to be using an audio cue on when to time myself to jump through this door here as it opens. So I'm just going to get into position there.
The fold weapons power source is doesn't look like they've perfected the casing.
This one's empty. The Ark must be somewhere. Anderson out.
Shoot these guys. Okay. I'm gonna wall kick here. Swap time. Now coming up here is one of the most difficult rooms in the entire game. This room coming up here is called Hell Room, which is named for both its color and its difficulty. This strat is absurdly difficult. Oh, and I messed it up already because I missed my jump timing. So this is a backup strat. I almost overshot that too. Man, this room is really hard, by the way, just so you know. Okay, so this was like a decent backup. Could have been worse. The second half of the room went really well, though. Wall kick here. Nice. Now, if I hit this hole right here at the right angle, I can do a little swirly. Not quite. Sometimes you can do a swirl down there. It's a nice little swag strat. And so what we're finding out is the IMC is creating some sort of super weapon that folds space and time, and they're going to use it to destroy the militia home planet of Harmony, and we have to save the day. And that was Effect and Cause Chapter 2. Not my best Effect and Cause 2 ever, but Hell Room could have went better, but ultimately it's still a 314, which is a great split. 314 is a good split. Now coming up here, we have the final chapter of Effect and Cause. It's also a very short one. This is Effect and Cause Chapter 3. This one goes by really quick. One of the shortest levels in the game. And so we're going to be trying a trick here called Time Stop. Almost got it. So if you initiate a hack animation here, when you swap time, you can confuse the game into which timeline you're in. Didn't quite work out there. That little flight up in the air indicates that we were slightly, the timing was slightly off. There's a really dumb skip here that only saves 2 seconds that I can go for. I'm debating right now. Yeah, we'll go for it. Oh, I got it. Okay, woo! Nice. I was like, oh, I missed it even though I hit it at the right angle. So that's ship skip. That skip is like absurdly hard. It saves 2 seconds. If you mess it up, it loses 17. But we hit it. We hit it there. You have to drop from the zip line at a very precise angle, and then jump off a platform that is curved in a really stupid way, which makes it almost impossible to wall kick off of. And we got it. I haven't done that skip since I messed it up in my PB, which was back in November.
Scan complete. As Anderson discovered, the IMC intend to destroy.
And that is Effect and Cause. We're gonna wait for some of BT's dialogue, and we'll be onward to the beacon.
Pilot Cooper, our journey is far from over. We must get this data to the fleet.
If you're looking at my PV splits, I saved 12.5 seconds there. Nice. Just by not dying. So now we're on to the beacon. So the beacon is the longest mission in the game. It's, again, split up into 3 chapters, but as a whole, it is very long. This first chapter is
Anderson is dead,
one of my least favorite levels to run. All the geometry here is just suggested. Or I guess like the shape of the rocks does not match the geometry of the rocks at all. As you can see right there, I don't even know what just happened or why I flung off like that. This level also has some really weird dialogue skips with it too. So it's just really tough to navigate, and the position of each of these jumps is very specific. So this dialogue skip here was found by Tron Volta. So if you come down here and kill all these enemies quickly, they're hanging on the wall. They have these like critical hit spots on the back I can shoot. It ends up skipping like 45 seconds of dialogue between BT and the militia that are trapped inside that little building I was just shooting outside of. So you'll notice BT is gonna say, he's just gonna, well, I actually forget what he says. I've been running this game for 2 years. Threat neutralized. There we go. So he's gonna stay threat neutralized. It despawns a bunch of enemies. We're gonna get in BT. And I was just gonna cycle through dialogue really quickly. We're gonna pick up Ronin here, which is an insanely important Titan to the speedrun. Probably one of the most important Titans to the speedrun. aside from Scorch.
We're opening the blast doors. Come on in.
So we just skipped a bunch of dialogue that saves 45 seconds. And so now, I'm going to pick up the L-Star, which is a good weapon for the next level. Or I guess for the rest of the levels, I should say. This is Captain Cole. He's annoying, he's rude, he repeats everything BT says. Generally kind of a jerk. We're just going to have to wait for him to spam through a bunch of dialogue while we wait for the next level.
Yeah, we know what it is.
Can you repair it?
Nah, we already tried. Sensors indicate another one in the substation, but it's nearly impossible to get down there. This place just ain't built for humans.
Understood. Pilot Cooper, I advise caution while navigating this facility's substation. You must recover the ARC tool.
Okay. And we're off to Beacon Chapter 2. So Beacon Chapter 2 has actually seen a lot of changes since GDQ. Or since GDQX, I should say. It now has one of the most difficult skips in the game, called Kill Room Skip, named after the room that it skips. So Beacon 2 has an amazing flow to it. It's one of my favorite levels to run. It's super fast. It was like, if all of Titanfall 2 was built like this level, it would be literally like the perfect speed game. So we have a lot of stuff coming up right here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to this part of the hallway, which hits a trigger. We're going to grab this softball, which is a grenade launcher. Now we're going to purposely die here, which actually warps us back to this point right here. And coming up here, I have to do a crazy softball boost off the wall. It's fine, I'll just load checkpoint. I can do this a few times and not lose time. That might be it. Second try kill room skip. Dude, heck yeah. Alright. So that's about, if I do it second try, it's just a little bit, just the slightest bit slower than not getting it. Second try is awesome. So that skip, I cannot express to you how difficult that skip is. Both in the softball placement on the wall kick timing, the strafe pattern across the gap. It saves 10 seconds. It was a really, really recent addition to this run. It was one of the first things we found after GDQX, and it is just like mind-numbingly hard. So the softball that we have right now is a grenade launcher that shoots sticky grenades. And we're going to use each of these little sticky grenades to give us a little boost here. We also picked up the ARC tool, which is like a big shooty zappy gun that opens doors for us. It's like a plot device, is the best way to describe it. We're going to use the satchels we picked up earlier to do a little kind of boost here. It's really risky, but it's a marathon run. Okay, so I didn't even get a boost from it for some reason. I don't know why. So we just missed heatsink skip. So this skip right here is called heatsink skip. It saves about 15 seconds. You don't actually need the satchels to do this, but it goes faster if you use the satchels, like so. That was what's supposed to happen there. And that's really, really fast. You can do that without satchels, but the satchels are about a second faster than not using them. I'm not sure why I didn't even get a boost from it. So now this segment here, this fan is going to like push you at a crazy speed down here. And if you actually get a wall kick, when you come around this corner here, you can transfer all that momentum and completely clear the gap. That's called fast fan, super sick. Hitting space or hitting jump at the right cadence up those stairs actually does a trick called stair slide, which saves a lot of time as well. And so my that Beacon 2 was a 2:21, and normally missing heatsink skip loses about 11 seconds. So that would have been a 2:10, which is an insane split for missing kill room skip first try. Anyway, that was a really good Beacon 2. I wish that level was longer because it has such a nice flow to it. So now we're on to Beacon 3, and this level is a monster. This is one of the longest levels in the game, and also has two of the coolest tricks in any speedrun I've ever seen. This was like a crowd favorite at GDQX.
The power chamber relays are offline. The ARC tool.
So now we're going to wait for Cole and BT to talk to each other a bit more. And so now what we have to use here is we have to use the ARC tool to go restore power to the beacon. The beacon is that huge satellite dish out there that they're trying to, that the IMC, excuse me, the militia is trying to use to communicate with the rest of the militia fleet. So this section isn't super interesting. There's not a lot of speed tech here. We just have to kind of like shoot. We have to zappy shoot all the buttons as fast as possible. And with this gun, unlike other guns, you can shoot it while you're sprinting. So this is pretty easy.
Power at 100%.
You can clip through this door if you go through it fast enough.
Great job. All right, we got power. Open those shutters.
Now we're just gonna get rid of the satchels. We don't need them anymore. And so now we're gonna see the rest of the plot come into place here.
Uplink targeting module. Reset initiated.
60%. 70%. 80%. 90%.
Dang it.
Emergency shutdown.
I like to try and bank these off the wall to hit Cole. Nice.
Captain, the uplink targeting module is offline.
Not good. I bet the
So,
IMC are on their way.
coming up here,
Reasonable assumption.
we have
McCord,
arguably the coolest segment of the game.
Not unless we want to
So we're going to be doing 3 things, or I guess 4 things, kind of back to back to back. The first one is going to be called Moon Boots. And so Moon Boots is a really, really cool piece of speed tech. So we have that Titan loadout Brute, which allows us to fly. You might remember us using it to do some weird stuff back in Ash Skip. And so now we're going to use it here to kind of wedge ourselves into a corner and then disembark while we're flying. And you're not supposed to be able to disembark while you're flying. And so just due to the way that the flight mechanic works, if you disembark while flying, it actually reduces your player gravity by 15%. So you'll notice, like, as soon as I'm on the ground here, I'm like way floatier than I was before. It's kind of like you're on the moon, hence the name Moon Boots. And so what's supposed to happen here is we're supposed to be able to get over there. Obviously, there's no way to do it, so BT's like, hey dude, I can throw you. So he's going to try and throw us there. Our end goal is over there, but we're going to hold jump when he throws us. And anyway, please enjoy super fast super fastball. I'm going to set up a safety save here in case anything goes wrong.
Projectile mass, 89 kilograms. Trust me. IMC dropships headed to your location.
Nice, we got it, we got it, we got it. Heck yeah, dude. Alright, now coming up here, we're going to be picking up these shurikens that are called gravity stars. So they're shurikens that create a gravity well. And if we jump from them when they explode, they give us a huge boost. So that's the first one. That saves about 13 seconds right there, over having to move this dish. And then coming up here, we have Zipless, which is... Before Kill Room Skip, this was like the hardest thing in the game. Here we go.
Module is in the projector of that dish.
Beacon 4 gantry team is KIA. Pilot may be attempting to transmit from there.
All units Q on 4 is not responding. Prepare to engage the target at Beacon 4.
Uplink targeting module. Disconnected.
See that? Zulu 1, Kilo 1, move in. Alpha 2, get soldiers on ground, move it.
Zulu 1-6 to Richter. The pilot
First
are unknown.
try every time. Oh, that hurts so bad. That really hurts my soul. Oh man, that was so close. I can't really be too upset about that. I can't really be too upset. I'm not gonna get on myself about missing that. I barely missed the wall kick on that final wall and took the wrong angle. Very, very close. And that was a good backup. It was a good backup. So that was almost zipless. We call it zipless because you skip the zip line. Anyway, I'm just kind of laughing at myself for missing that like I did. So this section here is like one of the only wave fights in the game that we can't really skip. There's actually, this is kind of the first fight where we introduce spawn manipulation. So you'll notice that during this fight, I'm going to be looking at certain parts of like an empty map at certain times. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these robotic enemies to spawn in certain locations for me. So we have to clear all the enemies ASAP. And I'm trying to get these guys here to spawn at spots that I can predict and find. Like right there. And right there. And as soon as I can't see them anymore, I'm going to disembark. Okay, now we're getting out. There should usually be 1 or 2 back here. Nope, they're over here. Okay. Got him. That's it. Okay, so that little base drop indicates the fight's over. So this is another skip that actually saves a lot of time. So BT is supposed to wait for you to talk to him, and then he's supposed to like throw you up on top of this dish, and you're supposed to navigate through here and do a lot of platforming. But if you just wedge yourself in between these walls, you can just jump up. It's like saves almost a minute.
Protocol 2 mission update. Replace the uplink module.
So now,
Socket module is at the top of this
this was basically all the hard stuff in Beacon 3. All we have left is the final boss fight in the game. Not final boss fight. Final boss fight in the level, excuse me. These grenades don't do anything, I just put them down for a little like slideshow.
Got you.
BT's gonna give us a thumbs up. We're gonna swap to Ronin here, and we're off.
Cooper, the dish is back online. Get back here and we'll send this message to the fleet. Outstanding work.
So coming up here is Richter fight, and this is gonna be split into 3 different waves. The first one we're gonna have 2 Reapers spawn right here. We're gonna have a arc wave waiting for him. This is like literally like a wave of lightning. We go 1, 2, 1, 2, and the spawn manipulation comes into play here. So if you stand here and look here, it forces the next set of Reapers to spawn here. And Tone deals with these guys pretty well. When he dashes to the right, that's really, really good RNG. Cool. That could have been a bit better, but that's fine. Same thing comes into play right here. If we stand here and look here, it forces the Titans to spawn here. And before we didn't know that actually for a while, at least for the first like 6 months of this game, and this section used to be like completely random. So we're going to be using the same mechanics with Tone to deal with these enemies as quickly as possible. I am getting completely bullied right now. This is going really, really poorly, I gotta say. Okay. Yeah, this is going about as bad as it can. It's just too bad. Alright, so now Richter's gonna come. He's gonna heal up a bit. Alright. So, this cutscene is nothing short of infuriating. He gets out of his Titan right in front of you, and it's this big scripted sequence, and you're standing right next to him, but you can't do anything about it. So Richter fight is all about high DPS, and calculated DPS. So if we do an arc wave and then shoot him, activate Sword Core, hit him 3 times, and if I shoot him a couple more times, he should start to self-nuke. He did not. Okay. This Richter fight just wasn't meant to be good. That was unfortunately pretty slow. And so now the beacon is over. There's nothing else we can do that will advance the plot or the game any faster. And now we wait. This would of course be a great time for donations, if I had one. Yeah, now we're just waiting, so I'll like throw a gravity star here, shoot some softballs at Cole, just generally, you know, get angry at Cole for existing, shoot him in the head. We actually have a category for this game called Fast Any %. And in Fast Any %, we use pre-made save files to skip all the unnecessary cutscenes and waiting in the game. That's what most top runners run anymore, but there's actually a skip that we do at the end of this game that you can't do in Fast Any %. There was actually a skip that was discovered a couple weeks ago, which I'm pretty excited to show off for the first time. This is Commander Sarah Briggs. She leads the Marauder Corps, which is a sect of the militia. She's not very pleased with BT or you, and is just kind of a jerk. We get to know her super well in the next level.
Lastimosa linked you to a rifleman?
Yes, he had no other options.
Understood. We'll get you transferred to a fully qualified pilot.
Objection. Cooper is my pilot. Our combat effectiveness rating now exceeds 90%. Request permission to retain this link.
You're lucky our backs are up against the wall, BT. Permission granted.
I just have to point this out. Somebody in my chat said, Sarah, this person right here, about as useful as that one random teammate you get in Apex. I love it.
Right here on Titanfall. We don't have much time. Let's go.
Alright, and now we're onward to Trial by Fire. Trial by Fire is the only level of its kind in the entire game. This is the only level that's based entirely around Titan movement and Titan combat. Every other level in the game usually includes some mix of both. This one is entirely Titan based. And it actually has a new strat for it too. So this is like the developer code for this, or the developer name for this level. It was T-Day, as in Titan D-Day. And you'll see why in a second here. This is a huge Titan fight. And we actually have a new strat that I found only a few days ago for this game, or for this level. So we're going to be switching to Ronin here again. And one of Ronin's main abilities is Sword Block. And Sword Block blocks 75% of all incoming damage. And so normally the game wants you to sit in Sword Block, or sorry, sit behind cover here and wait for the militia to take out those turrets in the wall. But if you come up here and just put up Sword Block, you can also phase right here. You can actually just go straight through the wall. And we used to go over to the left side, but we go over to the right side now. It's a bit more consistent and a bit faster. So this section is kind of a lot to explain because there's so much happening. What I'm going to be focusing on is optimal damage with Scorch and trying to kill a certain amount of Titans from each wave. And there will be multiple waves of Titans that spawn in here. This strat is a little bit risky, but we'll see how it goes. Get out of my way. Okay, so I have to kill this Tone here. He's very important. Okay, there should be an Ion behind me that I need to kill. Just gonna core again. Okay, so far this is going really well. So I'm waiting for Sarah to say, "Pilot, you're with me." That's the dialogue line we're waiting for. That's what we're waiting for. Okay. So I'm not quite sure where Sarah is, but I'm gonna risk it and just go straight into the tunnel here. Normally, this level is, I wouldn't say this is random, but you normally have to like kind of pay attention to where Sarah is to better influence her to come through the tunnel ASAP. But I'm gonna keep going. So I'm gonna time this arc wave to come out right as the shield drops. Didn't quite get it. So there's a certain dialogue line I'm waiting for Sarah to have where she says Elk 1 or something and then comes up here. She's not saying it, which indicates to me that she's really far behind. There it is. That's the dialogue line. Okay, so that's pretty good. That means Sarah's in a good spot. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to Ronin again. So Sarah's right there, that's good. I kill all those grunts so she doesn't get cut up on the grunts. Swipe this guy twice, come up here, arc wave, melee attack 4 times, switch to Tone. Kill both of those. Alright, Sarah's right here too. This is fast. This is really, really fast. Great. That went really well. Cool. I'm gonna switch to Brute here. And so I'm gonna use Brute's flight to kind of get to the top of this elevator really quickly. So that was Sarah like behaved, is what I would say there.
As far as I'm concerned, you've earned your pilot certification.
So now once we get here, so this is just complete cheese. We're gonna switch to Ronin and then use his ultimate. And Ronin's ultimate, or his core ability, refreshes his dash really, really fast. So you can just kind of fly through this segment and just ignore most of the Titans. You build core in this game by doing damage to enemies or taking damage. And so I'm going to use a really, really optimal bit of damage, or I guess you'd say strat here, to do as much damage to these enemies as possible. There we go. I got a little bit spooked there, so that was a bit slow. This Ronin standing right there is super unlucky. That's just bad RNG. Loses like a second. Again, this is just kind of cheesing our way through here. We're going to use Phase Dash to get straight through this guy. Go to the right so we don't bonk him. If I'm lucky, this guy will melee boost me. Maybe this guy will melee boost me. Not quite. Oh, I still was able to get some momentum there from that. Cool. So this should be a pretty good split. Not going to be like a world record arc, or sorry, a trial by fire, but generally speaking, all the bad stuff that could have happened didn't really happen. Anytime you get like a 430 something trial by fire, that's insane pace. 438, extremely good, extremely good split. So now coming up here is the Arc, and this level is infamous amongst Titanfall runners. So imagine that you do a hot drop onto the supply ship in Apex Legends, and then imagine all the bugs and all the craziness with that put into a single speedrun level, and that is the Ark. So you remember like that glitch when you're reviving somebody and like they float off into the air, or death boxes flying around and everything? That is like literally all of the same bugs happen in this level. Like the Ark is just kind of a handful. It's a lot. It begins with 2 extremely difficult skips. There are a million bugs that can happen. It's just through and through a really, really, really hard level. And there's just a lot of bad things that can happen. This section is all on rails, and we're just kind of waiting for it. It doesn't matter if we kill any of those guys. So we're going to be introduced to the boss of this level, Viper, who's very cool. But the first thing we're going to be doing as soon as the cutscene's over is we're going to be doing what's called Barker Skip. And Barker Skip is an extremely difficult skip that involves a very precise frag boost. There are a lot of variables that can influence what happens, but if you get a perfect frag boost, you could basically negate all of the random elements and make it across every single time. If you get a perfect frag boost, you have like a 2% chance not to make it, so it's extremely rare. That said, getting the perfect frag boost is really, really hard here, just due to the way that the grenade can roll and Barker ship can fly.
I got you, kid. Brace yourself.
So here we go. Barker skip coming up here. It'll be immediately followed by 6-4 skip.
You're welcome.
Battleship Malta at 10 o'clock, guarding the Draconis. We can't get past
This may take me a few tries.
Cooper, I need a pilot on board the Malta to secure the deck now.
Commander Briggs, this is Blackbird 6-4. We can get him there. BT, we need a fastball.
This will be close. I needed a better frag boost. Needed a better frag boost than that.
Battleship Malta at 10 o'clock, guarding the Draconis. We can't get past it. Cooper, I need a pilot on board the Malta to secure the deck now.
Commander Briggs, this is Blackbird 6-4. We can get him there. BT.
I think I'm going really, really early. I'm just going too early. Okay, I need to slow down a bit. Hitting this first try is like, you need to do it for a world record run. It taking me 3 or 4 tries in a marathon run is perfectly acceptable.
Commander Briggs, this is Blackbird 6-4. We can get him there. BT.
That's a bit better. I'm not getting the frag boost I expect, but the RNG was just a bit better that time. Alright, so we got Barker. Next up we have 6-4 skip, which we're going to jump off this ship before the game intends us to. Nice. That was a perfect 6-4. Okay, that kind of makes up for all the weirdness with Barker. Hopefully we get an early elevator too. It's pretty average elevator time. That's too bad. Alright. So now at this section here, the game expects you to kill all 3 of the enemies surrounding these gun turrets here. But you can actually skip the first 2 and just kill the last one, and it'll despawn the rest of the enemies. There's also a really, really hot strat I can do here if I time a grenade correctly. It's pretty difficult though. Oh, we got it! Woohoo! Spicy, dude! Oh, man. Oh, that was hot. Oh, spicy. Spicy, spicy, spicy. Alright, 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 alright. I'm feeling myself. Okay, so that's like the fastest possible turret clear.
Good covering fire.
So now this strat here is called Early Sarah. We're gonna get on. Normally you have to wait for Sarah to fly your ship up here, and then you have to do a war run across it to get to this next segment. But if you just jump off here, you can get on top of it. You wait for it to even out. Slide, jump, throw the grenade. Now you can start going to town. So you have to clear all these enemies. There's no really other way about it. But the 6-4, the enemies that just jumped on the ship with you, or sorry, your teammates that just jumped on that ship with you, actually can help you out here. So I'm also going to pick up the wingman here, wherever it went. There it is. Because this is going to help me out later on here. This is pretty slow. I didn't get I needed fire stars here. I didn't get fire stars, so that's kind of frustrating. I was trying to pick up the fire stars and the wingman, it didn't let me pick it up. Which is, generally speaking, not good. Okay, good. That guy died instantly. Okay, actually, this might not be too bad if they just call it. Nah, okay, that was fine. That's actually fine.
Follow me.
So the wingman, this is going to be an important gun for the very final part of this level. So the wingman is a hit scan gun, which means it has no travel time. As soon as you click the mouse, the bullet reaches its mark, versus something like the Mastiff, which the bullets have travel time on them. And due to the way that these ships are kind of flying back and forth, when you're trying to kill enemies with a gun in this last segment, the way that the ship is flying can actually influence which way the bullets go. So by getting the wingman, which is a hit scan gun that does a ton of damage for individual DPS, or for individual bullet, it can be really effective for killing the very final boss here.
You still have control of the bridge. Use your data knife to steer yourself right behind the Draconis.
So this part of the game, you stab your knife into the control panel here, and then use your knife, which you stabbed in the control panel, to pilot the ship. It's like the most convenient plot device of all time, but we won't worry about it.
I'm done babysitting.
So we have to stand away from the window there. Because we did Barker skip, if we're standing next to the window when BT punches out the window, it'll actually crash the game to menu. I believe it has something to do with like, there's like a trigger on his hand, and if the hand overlaps with you right there, then the game gets confused or something like that. So this is Viper fight. This is a really skill-based fight. It's really fun. We're going to use a missile barrage here to damage both of these Scorches as they're hanging out on the sides here. Now we're going to try and bait out each of the flame shields from each of the Scorches. I don't know what this guy's doing over here. He's taking his time. Actually, I might be able to get some good RNG here. Yes, okay, that's really good. If that Scorch ever moves to the side over there... Oh, wow, that was perfect. Okay. Now I have to do the same. So I gotta eliminate Viper's shields. Get rid of that. Okay. Now I'm gonna Sword Core. Wow, this was such a good Viper fight. That might be the best Viper fight I've ever had. Wow. I don't even... That was insane. That was so fast, dude. It's too bad that I had like third try Barker, because third try Barker was like the only thing that went wrong. This would have been like a world record arc if I had first try Barker, I think. That Viper fight was insane. Okay, so now this sequence coming up here is super cool. Screams, by the way. So this fight is just really well choreographed, and it's very visceral and violent, and it just looks sick. Viper's one of my favorite enemies in the game, and this fight's just so cool, dude. He just rips off his arm, and then he does this little pose right here, like, bah! I love it, man. Here's what we use the wingman for.
I've lost the hatch. Need cover.
Okay. So I'm not sure why he didn't take damage there, but we use the wingman to kill him. That's a strat I'm still experimenting with. I don't know if it's actually better. I thought a single headshot would kill him, but it doesn't. So I might just stick with the Mastiff for the future.
This ship is rapidly losing altitude. It is up to us.
So now, we're on the ship that contains the power source of the fold weapon, and we need to go get it ASAP. So BT's going to rip off this hatch. We're going to fall down here.
Approaching the Ark's containment unit.
So this section's all on rails. As soon as we kill Viper, we can't do anything else to advance the level really fast. There's like no more speed tech for us, unfortunately. So now we're kind of chilling. This section of the game casually is really cool. It's a bit unfortunate from a speedrun perspective. You have to make sure to hold W here. Don't forget to hold W. If you forget to hold W, you will lose time.
Quickly, we need to get off the ship. We are running out of time. This way, Cooper.
And so now right here, we're going to be just spamming the dialogue options. Spamming the dialogue here is slightly faster than not using any dialogue. It's like 1.3 seconds faster.
Negative. We are trapped.
What are you doing?
Protocol 3. I will not lose another pilot. Brace for impact.
And that was the Ark. And now we're on to the final level of the game, which is now featuring a brand new skip that we found only 2 weeks ago that saves 33 seconds in the final cutscene, and it's super cool. It's actually super sick. So I'm very excited to show it off in this run.
Blisk, your problems are not my concern. Once you have delivered the
So we have a bit of a long cutscene to sit through at the beginning here.
your payment will be transferred by the IMC.
Just have my
And after that, this level gets pretty cool.
I'll get you your precious cargo, you useless naff. Oi, Titan, you're gonna open up and give me what I want.
Voice command. Not recognized.
Let me just rip it out of him.
Can't risk it. The Ark's unstable.
We're going to use the edgy dialogue option here.
Listen, hero. You
Shoutouts
voice
to
mine,
Blisk's voice actor,
and I'll
JB
give
Blanc.
back. Go on.
I love JB Blanc.
Tell
I
your
love
Titans
Blisk.
to
I wish
open
Blisk
up.
was my dad.
About what? His feelings?
Still trying to be a hero, eh?
For anybody wondering, Blisk's accent is South African.
So
He's
tell
based
your
off one of the main antagonists
If he doesn't
in
open up,
the 2009 sci-fi film District 9.
Pilot in jeopardy. Ocular systems. Marginal. Cannot visually acquire pilot.
stand him up. You see him now? Right here, right here. Yeah? You see him now?
Functions compromised by severe
I
crash
don't
damage.
Now watch Blisk carefully during this next cutscene. He's going to do a little twirl and then dash off to the right. But if you watch his silhouette in the background, he'll actually clip straight into the floor. It's great.
You still remember numbers, don't you? I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Nah, that wasn't so hard, was it? That's the problem with teams. If you don't win
Teams.
together, you die together.
And whoop, there he goes into the floor. This scene casually is this whole okay. I keep talking about this. The campaign is just really well done, and this scene casually and thematically is awesome.
Say goodnight.
Oi! Get the Ark out of here! We're running out of time!
So this is a neat little strat here, found by Flatza. Shoutouts to Flatza. Hashtag Flatza strats. For some reason, instead, if you walk directly back into the fire here and almost die, and then walk out of it, it skips having to wait for BT's dialogue for about like 5 seconds here. And that's it. Saves for like 5 seconds. It's awesome. So BT is about to rip off his face and give you his innards. So inside BT's little head module here is the Seer Kit, which contains the data core, which contains basically all of BT's AI. And then also a data knife, which is that thing we've been using to stab and hack things. Very masculine. And it also contains the Smart Pistol, which is a literal aimbot pistol, which is for some reason the multiplayer, but we won't talk about that. It's really, really fun to use in the single player here. I remember the first time I played through, I was like, oh man, I'm mad they killed BT, and then you just go through and just shred everyone. So for this first segment, we don't have a double jump for a little bit, so it's a little bit frustrating. So we're gonna have to carefully slide hop up the stairs, and then sometimes the game will hitch right here. We didn't get a hitch, that's good. So we do wall kick, now we have our double jump, wall kick. You'll notice like the pistol's just auto aiming on everybody for me. I got kind of a slow slide there, that's too bad. That was really good aside from that last bit. Grab the zip line here. Up, 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 up. Now if I kill these last enemies that are in the hallway here. No, never mind. I'm not gonna get it. There's like a strat I can do there where I go through it without having to reinitiate a slide hop, but that's fine. Pretty difficult wall kick segment here, honestly. Yeah, I missed the wall kick there. It's possible to do like a fast wall jump where you don't lose too much speed, but it's still not a wall kick. It's only a wall kick if you get speed back after the jump. I'm messing this up. Hello? That was frustrating. Alright. So now we're going to call down a second Titan. So this isn't BT yet until we install the data core in him, and then it becomes BT. So, boop, there it goes. So now we're going to get in BT, and then we're going to try and build up core as quickly as possible.
Hello, Jack.
And then as soon as we get core, we're going to store core and kind of cheese our way through the whole segment. This gives me an opportunity, though, to talk about the skip coming up called Door Skip. Oh, there we go, which is an insanely important skip to this game. So there used to be a segment at the end of this game, or at the end of this level, or I guess this segment, I should say, where you had to like wait to get an enemy to try to like walk into a door, but if they didn't walk into the door, you'd have to kill all the enemies in the area. It was super random. Like the difference between good RNG and bad RNG would be like 2 minutes there. And because of the efforts of an Angry Albino and Enderon, we found this skip called Door Skip, where you just like disembark at the top of a door and you clip straight through it. That's been one of like the best parts about running this game for so long, is the longer we've been running it, the less and less random it gets and the more skill based it gets. So shout outs to cool speed tech. So if you just disembark here, hopefully you don't die, and then go through the top of the door, you just instantly get through, and it saves, I mean, it's huge. Saves minutes of having to kill all the Titans outside that area there. So we're not supposed to be outside of BT walking through here. But fortunately we didn't get shot really at all. We're pretty good to go. This movement through here is pretty tough, honestly. Nice. So now we're just going to hope that BT didn't get too caught up on the Titans back there. Cool, he's running to us. We're fine. So this here is Sloan Fight. So Sloan Fight is another fight that's split into 3 separate waves. It'll look like we can kill Sloan outright, but we can't. We have to get her to certain health increments, and then she teleports away. And this is going to be all about core management, and we need to have maximum core charge as soon as she dies in the 3rd phase to do the brand new skip Andy shot. So BT doesn't have a lot of ammo, so I'm going to shoot her twice and then switch to Scorch. Cool, now we're going to turn around and then use spawn manipulation to get these guys to spawn here. Build core, instant flame core. Cool, that was really, really good. Now we're going to look here and force Sloan to spawn here. Okay, and there she is. Now she's invincible for the first few seconds here, so we kind of have to wait. Okay, so she switched. That's good. Now we have next phase. Now we have 3 Reapers to deal with. Hello? Okay, that went not that great. Okay, so now I need to kill her while still maintaining maximum core. There's the spawn. Okay, now she's invincible. Now she's not. This is really unlucky, this movement. I don't understand what she's doing. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to switch to Ronin. I'm going to activate core and then hit the arc injector. Whoops, did I really just fall down there? That's embarrassing. I didn't even know you could fall down there, to be quite honest. Alright. So that should be it. So if this all went well, I should have my gun out right here. There we go. Okay, cool, it worked. So, if you activate Sword Core right before you pull out the Arc Injector, you have your gun out here, which is not intentional. This is not supposed to happen. And then actually transfers into this next section when BT turns on his cockpit here. So this was found by Reddit user Shot Andy, and we've thusly named the skip Andy Shot due to what happens right here. So Blisk is gonna walk over the top of you here, like, "Hey dude, what's up, buddy?" He's gonna say, "It's your lucky day, hero."
It's your lucky day, you know.
And then just dies. So when you have your gun out here and Blisk walks over you, he just dies instantly. And then as soon as he dies, the game starts progressing to the next part of the cutscene immediately. It skips all of his dialogue. It saves like 33 seconds. It's super sick. So yes, we've just made Apex Legends non-canon. Apex Legends is no longer canon. It's false. Blisk is supposed to live and he dies, and Ash is supposed to die and she lives. Speedruns are awesome. Yeah, so you have your gun out here. BT suddenly has 6 arms. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Or sorry, 6 arms, 6 limbs. 4 arms, 6 limbs.
Commander Briggs, I believe I have a solution. In its exposed state, my reactor core may be able to destabilize the arc essential.
I'm super happy. I'm super happy to show off the skip too. In a submission run like this. And I'm super happy to show it off at future marathons as well. Just because it's hilarious. It's a great skip. So shout outs to Reddit user Shot Andy. We call the skip the Andy Shot thanks to him. And so coming up here, this is the final segment of the game. BT does an insane amount of calculations here. He gives Sarah a rendezvous point. He calculates the blast. He calculates the explosion here. He sacrifices himself for you, and then figures out exactly where each piece of debris is going to be, so you can get to the point. So you can get to the rendezvous point. It's actually an insane amount of calculations he does here. And so here we go. This is the final run. I'm going to start off with an instant wall run on the left, and I hopefully don't mantle. Nice. Now I'm going to be looking at this blue thing on the right. That's my point to wall kick off of here. Hopefully I hit the triggers I needed to advance to the next segment. I did.
I'm tracking you. Keep going.
Wall kick off that. Now we're going to use the upward momentum from that platform to careen us over here. Wall kick there, strafe to the right, jump. I think I brushed the tree there. Time. 120. Hey, I got a 122. Very nice. A 122 in a no reset run is insane. What was the real time on that? I wonder what the real time was. Let me check real quick while we're here. Compare against real time. 124.31. Very good run. Very, very, very good run. We'll go back against game time. So that's under my average. 20 seconds under, which is awesome. GG. So once again, GDQ submission staff, thank you for viewing this. I sincerely hope Titanfall 2 has a chance to get into SGDQ 2019. I would love for it to be there again. It was a very warmly received run back at GDQX, and I think it's with all the new skips and tech, it's worthy of another appearance there. Also, Muncha Koopas, congrats on your position as game committee. I've always been a fan of your Shovel Knight runs, so congrats, dude. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Much appreciated. This is Brian Otto signing out. I hope to see you guys at SGDQ 2019.